All right, hello everyone. I am live. This is Nancy Rebecca. I'm live on Facebook and live on YouTube. It is morning here, 7 a.m. in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about the amusement factor today, but let me just give a few seconds for you all to kind of find the recording and go ahead and post where you are tuning in from. Good morning, Donna from Florida. Hi, pop on in, say hello. I'm having my traditional coffee, and so this is a Thursday morning. So I go live every Thursday morning at 7 o'clock. If you have not listened in before, good morning, Christy, and also those of you who are on YouTube. So, hi, Rebecca. Oh, thanks. Oh my gosh, I am definitely due for a haircut. So that will be next week. You'll see the haircut. So, my name is Nancy Rebecca, and I've been teaching intuitive psychic development for 25 years now. I've worked as a full time psychic medium for over 25 years. I've traveled all over the world and worked with land energies and haunted houses and because I'm a registered nurse working with the health system, which is my favorite subject of all. So if you've been watching me, tuning in for a while, you know that's one of my favorite topics. Good morning, Yvonne, and hi, Pat from Prince George, BC. Hello, Yano from Port Townsend. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more. So today is what is the amusement factor? So if you were with me last week or you watched the replay, it was about laughter. The title was Laughing in the Dark. And it is about, even when those heavier, denser energies come up, like stress and anxiety and fear and depression, panic attacks, to really find ways that you can, I wouldn't say laugh it off, because it's still about coping. It's still about dealing with the things that are happening in your life. It's not just laughing it off. But remember when I said last week that when in the energy field, because I'm a clairvoyant, I can see the energy field. When laughter comes from the crown chakra, the spiritual chakra. So once laughter happens, it gets highly activated. It infuses the rest of your energy system, and all your chakras get activated. But today, we're going to add just a little bit of an extra bit about, okay, let's say you're all activated and your aura is all bright and shiny, and you walk into a room that's not so bright and shiny, like a conference room or, a board meeting or something like that. So we'll be talking about that. The energies right now are really keeping us on our toes. I'm not going to get into it in an enormous way today because I'll be talking about the March frequency forecast next weekend. Next week on Thursday, you will not want to miss that. But Saturn is really playing a big role. It's a huge planet. I think it's 9 times larger than Earth, but its planetary influence, I'm just going to say in a nutshell that it helps illuminate unresolved issues. So you're probably all going, oh, great, unresolved issues. So yeah, it can be, remember I said last week or even on the frequency forecast for February that past lives are collapsing, that a lot of past lives are starting to collapse, kind of wrapping up very rapidly, unfinished business. That is Saturn is really helping us to be able to do that. So it's like, okay, thank you, Saturn, very much. But yeah, it can make us a little bit grumbly, serious, not finding things very funny. And so when I talked last week, it's all about practicing with humor and laughter. Remember, you want to activate the crown chakra even when you don't feel good. And if you practice it while you do feel good, it's much easier to shift into that when you don't feel very good. So the body's in high stress. I'll talk a little bit about that. Raising the vibe of the space that you're in. I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk just a little bit about some of the ascension symptoms that we're experiencing right now, uh, just to kind of validate what you might be feeling. But again, I'll talk more about that during the March frequency forecast. So, last week when I was talking about laughter, that's kind of an inside job. That's where you start laughing and you shift on the inside, and then it helps shift your aura to a more expanded, bright state. And then anyone who's around you feels uplifted. So it's an inside out job. What we're going to talk about, what is this amusement factor? We're going to talk about this kind of outside in job. But I will tell you, this even yesterday when I was working on the talk, and this morning I got up at 5, and I will tell you, I could just feel and I could hear these words like, I don't want to laugh. There's nothing funny. There's nothing amusing about what's going on in the world. And basically, it's like, you can't make me. And I can just tell just by, we have half the number of people participating live today, because it's just like, there's nothing funny going on in the world. But I was watching this video, and it was just a little short clip, and it was about an infant, definitely couldn't have been more than a year old, that they found in Turkey under the rubble, had been there for almost 7 days. And they found this little baby, and when they pulled it out of the rubble, the baby just did this big smile, after being buried under, layers and layers and layers of the building that he was in. And then they showed the baby a couple of days later, and they're showing the baby just laughing, somebody making funny faces at it, and the baby just laughing again and again and again. Now, this infant had experienced one of the biggest tragedies that anybody could experience in their life. And so it really got me thinking, what happened to us as adults that we lost that kind of natural, amusement factor. We lost it along the way. We became disconnected. It became buried underneath a lot of pain and a lot of seriousness. Now, and so this information is coming from spirit. They're saying, we've got a bit of a ride coming up, especially between now and May, but even over the last few years and in the years to come. And so the more we could kind of tap into that laughter, that uplifting amusement, it's going to make it a little bit easier for us. And I get it. I can't wrap my mind around it, but I trust the information that comes from spirit. So it's like, well, why not? I'm going to try it. It's just like, okay, if you take this drink of tea, it's going to help your cold symptoms, help your achy symptoms. You're going to drink the tea, right? You're going to drink the cold medicine. Well, it's the same with amusement. There's a lot of seriousness going on, and the spirit doctor says, hey, if you can watch a comedic comedy show, or you can watch a movie or some YouTube videos, it's going to help uplift you and make you laugh. It's going to make you feel better. Why would you not want to do that? Excuse me. Okay. So not only about the baby, but I have a new puppy. So I may have mentioned this before, and she's about 3 months old. So here she was. I had taken her out into the yard to play and throw the ball with her. And we live right on a corner, so people are always kind of passing by with their dogs or individually walking. And she's always just super cheerful to go up and say hello with her tail wagging. However, Yvonne came walking back from an errand she had been doing. So by this time, there's a lot of people going by. But as soon as Sadie saw Yvonne, she just went crazy. So even though she's only been with us for a little over a month now, she knew her person. She knew the person. She just lit up. And how does that feel when you walk into a room and this puppy or this dog, comes running at you, wagging its tail and happy, or this baby that looks at you and laughs, even though there's a lot of things going on in the world that would give you a reason not to be happy and not to laugh. So kind of think about that. So remember, amusement is a high radiating frequency. Amusement and laughter is a high radiating frequency. So I was thinking about, because I kind of create amusement bubbles, which is what I'm going to teach you how to do today in a meditation. But it is like if somebody's blowing bubbles, can you have a grumpy face? If you're walking in the park and kids are playing and blowing bubbles and trying to catch them, it's like, no, you kind of naturally want to smile. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And you're welcome, Jennifer, about continuing to bring this particular information forward. Um, so again, you want to do whatever you need to do to get those funny bone juices going. So again, let's say you've done your meditation, you've got the energies going, or you've watched something funny, you're feeling light, you're feeling bright, you head to work, or you head to a family event, or you are just walking and you see something that's disturbing. What do you do in that situation? How do you maintain your center? What do you do when you've been feeling on top of the world? You're whistling on your way to work, or I call it kind of chair dancing or seat dancing when I'm in my car and there's a really cool song that comes on that I love, and you're just kind of dancing around in the car. So it's like, and then you get to work and you've got a board meeting, and suddenly it's like you walk in and it's like, wow, it's super heavy in there. The energy is super thick, has a lot of analysis paralysis. There's a lot of mental energy. And what happens with mental energy, it is a frequency. Remember, I talk about all of these things are a frequency. And that kind of heavy mental energy, it's like the marble that you put in that, what do they call it, mouse trap, where you put the marble in and it's got to go through all the gyrations to get to spit out the other end. That's what mental energy does, whether it's in your house, you're working the computer, you're in the boardroom. I was a nurse. I worked intensive care. If everybody's like super serious and focused and intent on making sure that they get everything done for the survival of the patients. Yeah, you've got a lot of mental energy to try to track there. So it's like if you have an idea, it has to go through the mental lines to be able to be processed. And sometimes that doesn't get resolved. How many of you have been in a board meeting or a strategy situation where you never resolve it by the end of the hour that you're there? And that's because there's so much mental energy, it only gives you one or two options. But if you can bring in, who's saying somebody was told not to whistle in a public place? I love these rules that we come from. Well, I know in South Africa, when you whistle, it calls in the ancestors. And so, yes, they think twice before they whistle. Goodness. Okay. Or let's say, remember during COVID, during the pandemic, early on, how frightening it was. The hospitals were full. So you go in the grocery store and people are nervous and they're scared and they're on edge, and you just need to go in and get some milk. But it's like you're just heading into this really heavy, thick energy of terrifying fear. So there's lots of reasons on the outside that now you come home and you don't feel very good. How about, have you ever gone into a hotel room and you're the thousandth person to rent that room, and there's thousands or hundreds of people's energy still left in that room? Or how about sleeping in that bed, where so many people have slept in that bed and left a little bit of their energy? You want to be able to clear that out. It's like, hey, you're in a good place. But I remember once going into a hotel room, I was so excited about this place that I was visiting. I was going to see this play that I had tickets to. I was super excited. And I walked into that hotel room and suddenly I felt enraged. it took me a little bit to get that energy kind of cleared out, sorted out. But then the kind of kickback, it took me almost 24 hours before I could get back to that really resilient place that I had been before I went into that hotel room. So these are the things that we're talking about. So right now in the world, this is not a fun place to be living in. As a matter of fact, we can find lots of not fun things to talk about that have been happening the last several years. But just the earthquake alone, we've had several shootings here again in the United States. So there's a lot of things that can be disturbing, but I'm going to teach you some things in meditation that can help you kind of get a leg up or a foot up on managing to you continuing to grow and thrive no matter what's happening in the world. So, all right, already said all of that. So adding the amusement factor is a game changer because I said the mental energy, you can't think your way out of a paper bag. So let's say, because I'm clairvoyant, I can see with my eyes open. I can see, so I can walk in the room. And to me, when there's a lot of too much mental energy in the room, it looks like black scaffolding. You know, that big metal scaffolding that they would put up when you're making a high-rise apartment? That's what it looks like in the room, but it's black energy and it's black scaffolding and it is immovable. It's not going to move. And it's almost like you have to kind of crawl underneath the mental energy to find your chair in the boardroom. And then you're sitting there and you just feel all this pressure on top of your head. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, somebody's saying I wear cheerful colors and I avoid grumpy people. Well, that's called, when we get to the end of that one, agoraphobia, where people are so at a point where they can't even go outside anymore because they're going to get triggered. Well, what I'm going to teach you a little tip today are ways that you can take charge of the energy of any space that you're in again. You can lighten it and brighten it for yourself. And if those people are grumpy in that light, bright room and they can't shift that grumpiness, they might have to get up and leave, And so you want to create an environment that's really helpful for you to grow and thrive in. I remember once just kind of tagging onto that, where I was walking in the park with a friend, and where we walked through this particular part of the park, it felt very disturbing. We'll say that the energy was very disturbing, only to find out later that that area of the park had experienced some type of violent crime. And so my friend said, well, I'll just avoid that part of the park. So you see what we're saying here is like you avoid that, all right? And then this happens and you avoid that, and this happens and you avoid that. Your world starts to get really, really small. And then who wins? The violent energy wins, or the grumpy person wins. So I'm here to say that I'm going to encourage you all to start taking charge, or trying to take charge of your energetic environment. This is what I teach in all of my programs, is how to not only learn to manage your own emotions, manage your own triggers, but also start to create an environment that you love to be in. Eric Van Horn, the Care Bear stare. Oh my gosh. Love it. Okay. So one of the big things, people have said, it's like, well, do I have permission to shift the energy in a room when there's other people? So think about that. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's okay or not okay to shift the frequency in the room where there might be 30 other people? So I do have people and students that'll say, no, I don't have permission unless I ask all 30 people in the room. All right, now So let's say you're in this room, it's light, it's bright, you're laughing, you haven't seen each other in a while because you've been home with COVID, and suddenly uh, a person comes in, they're irritated, they're annoyed, they have a hangover, they're, I don't know, we'll just say whatever. They come walk in the room, their energy's heavy, they're glaring at people. Well, they have a right to influence the room, don't they? They are influencing the room. And then suddenly everybody's like, oh, they're in a bad mood today. I better keep it quiet. I better lay low. How many of you know this from childhood? Ooh, my parents are not in a good mood. I better just go in my room and don't come out for a while. So you see what I'm saying? We are going to start shifting these energies so we no longer have to dial it back or turn it down for anybody else. So yes, somebody said shifting with dumb jokes. Well, sure, you can definitely shift the energy. I'm just going to teach you how to help raise the frequency so that you have a right to grow and thrive in any space that you're in. And if the other people around you happen to be able to grow and thrive with that as well, that's great. But you want to set the intention, I have a right to grow and thrive in this place. Okay. Stress. Whew, there's a lot of stress going on right now, an enormous amount of stress. Even if you feel like you're in a good headspace, your energy field, I'm going to say, is kind of taking a battering. So remember, I said Saturn is illuminating within you those energies, unresolved issues. So you can think you're in a good headspace. Some of these unresolved issues are causing heavy stress to the body. So even if you feel okay, especially now, please make sure you're getting your sleep, your meditation, your fluids to stay hydrated, good food, and kind of lessening the news diet or, trauma violence diet of watching a shoot 'em up movie. So it's like right now there's a lot of stress going on. Mental health, huge issues right now. Suicide is one of the highest rates of suicide is happening here in the United States than ever before. So there's a lot of ways that we can shift the energy for us to help us keep our head above water. So before I go into the meditation, so I woke up and I'm hearing these words. See, we're raising the vibe. So it's drawing a lot of people on this live call today because we're starting to raise the vibe about talking about amusement. But I went to just bring amusement into my house. And it's almost like the energy was like, yeah, I dare you. Make me laugh. I dare you. It was that kind of energy. I was trying to bring amusement in the neighborhood. I was bringing amusement in the town that I live in. And it was still that like, you can't make me laugh. Don't do it. So anyway, so just to let you know, we're doing it. We're going to do it. We're going to bring in some amusement. So the first thing that I'm going to teach you in this meditation is just how to, I call it ground, gold, and present time the room that you're in. So if you want to do it in all the rooms of your house or your apartment, you can do that later. If you want to do it in the grocery store, the barber shop, you can do that later. But we're just going to ground, gold, present time the room that you're in to start shifting the frequency and draining out some of that old unresolved energy. Then we're going to bring in the energy of amusement. So I'm going to teach you about how to bring in amusement. It's called kind of amusement bubbles. Is anybody old enough to remember the Lawrence Welk show? Was it Lawrence Welk that always had the bubbles going around? But we're going to bring in these bubbles. And the only time the bubble's going to pop and release amusement is if it hits seriousness. So if it hits any seriousness in the room, it's going to pop. So if you are meditating and there's a lot of popping of bubbles, it just means that it's uplifting some of the heavier stuck energy in the room. So when you're in the boardroom, you can ground gold present time. You can bring in bubbles of amusement. If you're walking in the park, you can ground gold the park. You can bring in bubbles of amusement. So you can empower yourself to shift the energy where you are to help you stay above water. Because if people are struggling around you, somebody's got to have a cool head about them, right? We've got this, we're going to be okay, we're going to make it. If we're all drowning in seriousness, then who's going to help us to remember that we have a lot to live for, and these are exciting times that we're living in. And think about that baby buried under the rubble, but could still smile when the male rescuer looked at that baby and was like, oh my gosh, the baby's still alive, and this elation, and the baby just smiled. So how did we forget that as an adult? I want you to kind of just think about that over the next couple of weeks. When did you lose your smiling capacity and your laughter capacity? And take the power back. All right, let's do a little grounding, golding of our environment. Go ahead and close your eyes and turn within. And just check in to see how's your physical body feeling right now. I will say that things look a little lighter and brighter now versus 30 minutes ago when I started this call. So there's some improvement there. Nice. Nice. Say good morning or good afternoon or good evening to your spirit, your soul. Now remember, laughter and amusement activates your spiritual chakra to illuminate your other chakras. So think of something funny right now, or have your spirit help you think of something that can bring a smile to your face, just to activate your crown chakra a little bit. Just like on an airplane, you want to put your oxygen mask on you first. So let's go ahead and you ground yourself to the center of the earth. You can pretend any imagery for grounding. I have to tell you, the other day, I asked my spirit, I was going to be doing some distance healing work, and I asked my spirit, what kind of grounding should I use for this healing? And it was bunny rabbits, of all things. Loads and loads of bunny rabbits. So you can use any imagery that you wish for, or you can use the imagery always of a tree with deep roots. So go ahead and imagine grounding yourself deeply, whether it's with rainbows, rabbits, waterfalls, or tree roots. Maybe you can ground with laughter. What would laughter look like as a grounding image? Nice, nice. Now just imagine this radiant light is activated in your crown chakra. You've got this golden light or silvery light or blue or green, and just allow it to just saturate your entire aura, your entire body, all of your chakras. Let it flow all the way down your root system to the center of the earth. Grounding and bringing through light takes no more than 3 minutes. Anybody can take 3 minutes a day to ground your energy field and bring through the light. All right, so now we're going to tune into our outer environment. Whatever room you're in, whether it's your living room, your bedroom, whether you're sitting in the car, or maybe you're in a little room at work, go ahead and pretend and imagine that you're going to ground that room in the center of the room. If you need to open your eyes and look around the room, go ahead and do that and close your eyes again. And imagine this enormous root system just pulling at the center of the room that you're in as gravity pulls it deeper and deeper. Maybe you live on the 12th floor of an apartment building. That root system is going to go through all 12 floors, through the Earth's crust to the center of the Earth. So ground the room you're in to the center of the Earth, and old congested energy will start draining right down that grounding. Now imagine a large ball of golden, celestial, cosmic, divine energy above the room that you're in, and it's going to start radiating down through the room with the intention to cleanse, clear, dissolve any out of balance old energy. So you're just going to let that gold to start radiating down through. It can be like waterfalls coming down the walls. It can be like a disco light radiating, spinning. And it start washing down through the room. And then this is one of the most significant parts. Remind the energy of the room that you're sitting in of what today's date is. Because sometimes, like if a house is built in 1970, the walls radiate the energy of the 1970s, but you want to bring it current, and you might, sometimes I feel some of the biggest shifts by reminding the room that I'm in of what today's date is. Now make the statement to yourself, I have a right to grow and thrive in this space. I have a right to grow and thrive in this space. When you say that statement, the energy shifts into a strength to support you to grow and thrive in the space that you're in. Now let's just, let's bring some amusement bubbles in. So set your intention that you're going to release a lot of amusement bubbles into the room that you're in. They're going to be filled with giggles, laughter, light-mindedness, lightheartedness, And if those bubbles you might sense, see, hear, know, feel, when they hit any out of balance energy or seriousness, they're going to pop and release amusement, release giggles, release laughter. Just fill your room with amusement energy bubbles. As these little bubbles are bursting old energy, that old energy is going to drain down the grounding. Go ahead and just present time the room one more time. Oh, there we go. Had another big release. Another big release. So just set your intention. Ask your spirit, what other rooms, what other spaces does your spirit want you to practice in to learn this technique? Thank your spirit, thank your body, and when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and stretch. So just to say, as I wrote my notes here, the quicker you can shift those gears into amusement, into laughter, the quicker you can manage to shift yourself from the damage to your physical, emotional, and mental health. And this morning when I heard, nope, I don't want to, I'm not going to do it, then it moved to, okay, I'll think about it. And then now since the meditation, it's like, yep, I did it. I feel better. I love that grounding was a pogo stick. So have fun with it. And remember that statement, I have a right to grow and thrive. And going back to the individual who said, I wear bright colors and I avoid grumpy people. Sometimes you can do that. And sometimes it doesn't matter how many times you go to that meeting. It's like, oh my gosh, there's a couple of people in there that just pull the rug out from any kind of lightness. And it's like, I just can't do this anymore unless something shifts. So, but there are sometimes you cannot avoid those situations. So, as Danelle says, it's going to be a busy day. So great, Danelle, because you can manage, right? You can manage the environment that you're in so that you have a right to grow and thrive. All right, let me just mention the event that's coming up, and we have the link here. If the link is not here, you can go to my website, lower right corner, the spring equinox event that's going to be happening on a Sunday around the 19th of March. But the 23rd of March is the big celestial event that's going to shift us. I'll be talking about that a little bit more next week, but you'll definitely want to get signed up. We still have the early bird special going on for the bundle that we're doing, the Equinox bundle, but you can still buy individual tickets without having to join the bundle. So just to let you know that. All right, everyone, thanks again. Loads of laughter to you today. And work with those, have fun working with amusement bubbles. Watch what happens in a room when you bring in amusement bubbles. It's delightful to see. All right, everyone, have an awesome day. Have a wonderful weekend. I know that it's Here in the United States, it's a holiday weekend. In Canada, it's a holiday weekend. So enjoy it in whatever way you choose to spend your time. Take care, and don't forget to post your experience with the amusement bubbles. All right, take care, everyone.